downloads good. Welcome back to Two Marks and Spark. We had a whole bunch of issues last week. That's why there was no Backlash show. But I do want to touch on Backlash briefly to kick us off here, Russ.
A good
That
idea.
was one hell of a show they took to Leon.
It was. It was a very good show. I feel like it's one of those shows where the crowd really helped make the show so much more exciting.
The wrestling was very good,
Yes, it was.
and the crowd was even better.
Right. I liked it was kind of pared down. We had five matches
Yep.
and they didn't have a bunch of junk on the pre-show or anything. It was kind of pared down and it was very, very well. Every match I thought was well done.
I want to give extra credit to Bailey, Tiffany Stratton, and Naomi.
Yeah.
Those three went on after an excellent street fight between the Bloodline and Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. They
Hmm.
had a tough act to follow there,
They
and they
did
killed it.
good.
And I don't know about you. I thought the match of the night was Cody and AJ, but like
Yeah.
a very close second is that Bloodline tag match. I thought that tag match was fucking fantastic.
It was
I thought
great.
I thought Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga all did a phenomenal job, and Tonga Loa's debut was perfect.
Everything they did seemed to make sense. The heels that won indicated not a finality to the storyline, but a continuation and a going on of the storyline. And
Which, with what they've done with this storyline with no Roman, I'm perfectly okay with it
yeah,
because they're progressing the storyline without Roman,
and
and it makes
yeah,
sense.
and I hope he enjoys as much time off as he wants to. Uh, I felt like the women's match, the three-way match was a real standout. I really wanted Bailey to win, and I expected that she would. That's what I predicted. Although Tiffany
We were
Stratton,
texting during the show though, and when Tiffany Stratton came out, I was like, "Oh my
right,
god, she's gonna fucking win the title, isn't
she
she?"
did the push, and she didn't win, but the match made her look good. It didn't hurt her at all. I think it helped her get over even more. And Naomi's already over.
Uh, Dude, ever since Naomi came back, she should have gone to Raw. And I've been meaning to talk about this. Naomi should have been drafted to Raw. Here's why: because they could have put the belt on her.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Granted, not for very long. And they announced on Raw this week that it's going to be Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan at King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. I expect Liv Morgan to win the title.
Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we were expecting. I believe they also announced how many matches do we have now for King and Queen? I mean, we got the King and the Queen finals,
Yep.
and we have that match, and then we've got
Cody versus Logan Paul as well.
Cody versus Logan Paul, which they started building to last night on
I
SmackDown.
suspect that's not going to be title for title, title versus title,
I
though it
haven't heard
could be.
officially that it is, though. I have not
Huh?
heard.
Cody was talking like it might be, but I don't think they're going to do that.
I would kind of hate for them to take, at this point, to take the U.S. title off of Logan Paul because I think he's having a good run with it. I know a lot of people don't like him, but
I don't like him.
it's such a good heel.
I hate him. I think he's a piece of shit, but he's done a great job with that title, as much as I hate to say that.
He
And he's
seems to
making
be
him a
kind of
lot
a
of money with it.
natural.
Well, it's because he's a fucking douchebag.
There you go. But I mean,
Um,
athletically, I know he's done some boxing, and so I don't know. Is he got a martial arts background? I don't know
Boxing,
everything he's done.
boxing.
Boxing.
But here's the thing: obviously Logan Paul is not going to beat Cody Rhodes. That is foregone conclusion. Not going to happen.
No, I don't think so.
But if they do title versus title, and hear me out, if they do title versus title, there is a world where they do a rematch for the U.S. title and not both,
Yes.
and Logan beats him that way.
Also, I wanted to talk about the Damian Priest match. This was he didn't want any help against Jey Uso. He kept telling the Judgment Day to not get involved. They kept getting involved. They helped him win. So that's kind of an ongoing storyline with them too, is their inner conflicts.
Yeah, and Jay winning the title would have been nice here, but like you're not taking the title off Priest yet.
I don't think they should.
Um, Granted, do I love Priest with that title? No, but eh, I mean, what do you do? And it sounds like Rhea's not going to be back until right after or right before SummerSlam. So
Yeah,
Judgment Day will probably be split up by then, and it looks like Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan are going to run off together before Rhea can come back. So
they're kind of hinting at that, aren't they?
wouldn't that be a funny storyline? I'll laugh at that anyway,
Yeah.
just because it's preposterous and ridiculous.
Well, also, I thought it was interesting. I don't know how much money they right in the middle of the ring on the mat. It had Prime, and then they had all these props all over, and the big giant bottle. I wonder how much money they're getting, promotional money they're getting from that company.
A lot.
Because that Logan Paul, is that a brand that he owns?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if he was just a spokesman or if he had actually that was his creation.
No, that's his.
All
He
right,
owns all of it.
I've never
Well,
tried it. Is it
I
energy
think he,
drinks?
yeah, they're not very good. They're loaded with sugar. They're worse for you than a Monster is. I mean, they're terrible.
I just keep drinking 1919 then.
Yeah, me too. Um, I do want to talk about Raw briefly, not the show, well, the show, but not the May 6th edition as we're going to discuss here.
Right,
More the announcement we got this week, first on the investor call,
correct.
and
Big
then
money, big money.
and then the um and then the later announcement from the USA Network confirming it that the USA Network dished out $25 million to keep Raw to the end of the year.
Right.
And
Just through that. That was secure. They would have it through that last quarter.
right.
And I think what an incredibly, they must be making an awful lot of money off of those ratings in order for them to be willing to pay that amount of money. And it also goes to show that through the broadcasting rights and all of the streaming and everything around the world, WWE is making so much money. It's it's almost unbelievable the amount of revenue that they're making.
So, along with the announcement of this, NBC Universal USA, whatever you want to call them, announced that as part of this deal for SmackDown, there's going to be 4 specials a year on NBC for the WWE again, similar to what they would do with Saturday Night's Main Event back in the day.
Right.
WWE is going back to NBC. That was almost a foregone conclusion when you heard, well, they're going to lose Raw, but they're going to get SmackDown. You kind of figured there was going to be something there to
Sure.
sweeten the pot for NBC because they were losing Raw.
Right. And those were always good ratings draws. The Saturday night main events.
And I don't know what they're going to call these. I don't think they'll call them Saturday Night's Main Event. I don't. Um, I I have a pitch for those though, and I'd like you to hear it because I want you to tell me if I'm crazy. These 4 specials, there's going to be 4 of them a year, so one a quarter. I think all 4 should be international shows. I think they should all be in different countries.
I think
None of
that'd
them
be
should be in the
fantastic.
U.S.
They're doing a whole lot more international shows now.
I think they should do one in England. I think they should do one in Italy. I think they should do another one in France. Hell, go to Germany,
Yeah.
and
Well, they
they
got to
should be
get back
stadium
to
shows.
Puerto Rico someday. I remember Backlash from last year was, I still think, my favorite show of the year for 2023. And that was another case where the audience, You know what it is to me? I think American wrestling audiences are a little spoiled and we're kind of jaded. And these fans don't get wrestling as much as we do. They don't have it come to their country that often. And so it's really, really a big, exciting deal.
And that they they don't watch weekly TV like we do because it's on at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for them.
Yeah.
It's not on at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. It's on at 3 o'clock in the morning, one
Yep.
o'clock in the morning. It it's not like it is here for them. And people don't realize that
Yeah.
because again, American wrestling fans are jaded and they don't get it. Um and the other big news this week, WrestleMania 41, the thought of location this whole time was Minneapolis. It sounded like it
Yeah.
was a done deal. It felt like it
Right.
was a done deal. I'd heard from people that it was a done deal, and then all of a sudden, here comes Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Las Vegas in the final bid, they must have outbid Minneapolis.
I think Minneapolis opening their mouth about 2 months ago was probably the death knell.
Uh-huh.
And
That's
this is,
unfortunate because that's just a few hours away for us.
yeah, and I'll probably be living there by that time next year too. So it's
Right.
like, fuck, you know. I look, we'd all heard, me included, leading up to Backlash, which is they announced it at the Kentucky Derby, which is great for them. The Kentucky Derby, no matter what you want to say about it, does a big number every year.
Absolutely.
I didn't see the numbers for this year, but I heard they were up.
Yep.
Um, I also heard the race was fantastic this year, so I think that helped.
Good one. Yeah.
I heard this year was one of the better Kentucky Derbies in the last few years. So, um, again, I didn't watch it. I just heard from people that did that the Kentucky Derby was among the better ones in recent years, and it felt a lot more buttoned
Right.
up and put together than usual. So, um, and to to WWE's credit, they got off the air before the Kentucky Derby started.
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did. And what you notice that it wasn't a super long show. It was a little. It was about 3 hours, a little less,
Right.
which is what pay-per-views used to be before they started going to 4 hours plus. And I felt like it was just exactly the right length. It was such a well put together show. Sometimes there was less matches, but sometimes less is more.
What they did was very effective.
I agree.
What they pulled off was so effective and so good that they nailed it.
Yes, they did.
Now, we're not going to go blow for blow on all the shows this week just because we've got a lot of news to talk about. We've got more news to talk about than even what we just did. But I do want to talk about Raw a little bit because I thought Raw was a weird show this
Hmm.
week. And it felt like they were scurrying along to get stuff figured out because Drew was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very strange. I thought the whole thing with the way they played out with the Drew calling out Punk and then him showing up afterward, calling him out after he left. I didn't really get over with me that much.
What did get over with me was Ilya Dragunov versus Ricochet. That was fucking incredible.
That was a great match. That was probably the best match of the whole show. It was very, very good. I think Ricochet is getting set up for a heel turn.
How do you do that when he's dating the ring announcer?
So he is, huh?
They're married or they're getting married this year.
Samantha
How do you
Irwin.
turn Samantha Irvin? She is such a baby face. She is so over. Like they could sell merch for her and it would sell.
Yeah.
How do you how do you turn him heel
Well, I saw an interview with her. She was saying Ricochet was her favorite wrestler. Now I can see why.
I mean, it makes sense just from a pure talent perspective too. Like even if they
Well, he's
weren't
been on a
together.
losing streak, and he's been using his social media platform to express all his intense frustration. Who gives a damn anymore? Why should I even try? And it sounds like he's setting himself up for a heel turn. That's what I'm predicting.
And then the other match that really impressed me on Raw was the main event. It was Sheamus and Gunther again.
Yes.
And Sheamus cannot get over the Gunther hump, as
No.
most people cannot.
But it was a great match. It was very well
Again, again, no surprise. It was you put Gunther and Sheamus in the
done.
ring and let them do whatever the hell they want. Big surprise. It was really good. Real
Excellent.
shocker.
Gunther, I saw some, I had not realized because it happened so gradually. I saw some pictures of Gunther from like 3 or 4 years ago, and wow, he has really lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
He used to be a big old boy. He's downright svelte compared to how he used to be.
Well, speaking of losing a ton of weight,
Yes.
something that I swear stresses me out to the point where I'm going to lose weight nowadays. AEW.
AEW, man, I like AEW, which means I'm fearful that they are not getting better. They're not getting better.
Do you want to know what concerns me?
Yes,
They're doing good things on their television right now, and it just doesn't matter.
they're not getting any traction from it. I think that they have so many really, really good
The angles they've
wrestlers.
been doing with Swerve and Christian have been amazing, and it doesn't really matter because it's a mid card match right now.
And it shouldn't be. I feel like the champion should be getting the major push. It should be the focus of the company. I know that sounds pretty old school, but having the Young Bucks and the Elite and Jungle Boy become the focus of things, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think most of the fans like it. It doesn't sound like the fans in the arena watching the live show are really that thrilled about it.
No, and that goes back to booking. I mean, they've been going against what the crowds wanted for a year now, or
And I
for
don't
most of this
understand.
year.
I don't understand that because they're starting to lose. From what I read online, there's some real diehard defenders of AEW that are now starting to waffle and say this company really is in trouble.
From a booking perspective, they are
Yeah.
business wise, they're
Now, I don't
fine.
think they're going to go out of business. I mean, they've got a deep pockets, obviously, deep, deep pockets. And even if they're losing money, they can afford to. And I don't think they're going to go out of business, but the booking is just not good.
Now, Devlin, friend of the show, Devlin, who's been on here quite a few times, he had
Yes.
a really good idea that AEW, of course, booked themselves out of ever being able to do. His suggestion for Double or Nothing was put Mercedes and Willow in the main event and let them just do their thing. Give them 25 minutes and let them go crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, Devlin, that's a great idea. And it would be a fucking amazing match if they did it.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. They've already announced that Anarchy in the Arena is the main event.
There you go.
Now,
See,
everybody, now I've talked to a couple people about that idea. They're like, well, do you really want the women main eventing Double or Nothing?
yes,
Yes, you
but
do.
they're the best. I mean, I know that I haven't seen as many matches of uh, Mercedes Monet as I have of Willow Nightingale. I remember
She's better now than she
I
was in
remember
WWE.
when she was Sasha Banks. I remember that NXT match that she had with Bailey was possibly the best women's wrestling match I've ever seen. It was definitely the best match of that year, whatever year that was. And
Well,
so I
here's the
know
thing.
she's capable of incredible things in the ring, even though her gimmick is definitely not getting over with me, and her persona really sucks. But I know she's capable of incredible uh, incredibly good matches.
Which brings up the question of why the fuck isn't she wrestling? But
Yeah. And then it's the same old thing that they have in a lot of promotions. Why does a star from another era or another company show up and they get the title match and everybody else gets pushed to the back of the line? I mean, I know they do it because they want to make money, but it doesn't make sense.
now Willow and Mercedes are going to have a fucking incredible match no matter how much
I'm
time they're
sure.
given. Foregone conclusion on that. Mercedes is back to wrestling how she did in NXT. She's not doing the WWE style anymore. She's doing her own thing again, which is what she did in NXT.
Right.
And she's back to doing that. She's closer now to what she was when she was wrestling Bayley in Iron Woman matches and doing all that shit
Right.
than she ever was when she was in a tag team with Naomi
Yeah.
toward the end there in WWE. So, you know,
Right.
um, but this anarchy in the arena thing, and
Yes.
I understand the reasoning for them putting Kenny back on television because he is statistically a draw. That's just a fact. Kenny Omega is a draw. Whether you
Right.
love him or you hate him, the guy's a draw. So I completely understand them putting him back on TV.
Right.
But he's about to have surgery for his diverticulitis. And
Yeah.
he's in a fucking hospital bed and he's cutting a fucking promo.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
What
I
the
think these
fuck?
these guys tend to come back too soon anyway.
And he wasn't cleared. He's not cleared. Why the fuck was he taking bumps last week?
I know.
Anyway, or 2 weeks ago or whatever that was. Dude, I'm just
By the way, are you going to make any attempt to watch AEW this evening? We're recording this Saturday afternoon.
so we don't
Probably
have to
not.
record it. So we don't have to record. I mean, if I get drunk enough,
That's one of those shows I sometimes fast forward to through, you
if I
know.
if I if I dabble in substances tonight, yeah, I'll watch AEW.
Oh yeah, you just got to get your resistance to idiocy down, right? Yeah, put something stupid on TV and I won't care.
I mean, like,
But they have good wrestlers there. I feel bad for some of the wrestlers that they're hired that I
you know who
think
I feel
deserve more
terrible for? I feel
exposure.
terrible. You know who I feel terrible for? Jay White.
Oh, yes, I do too. And
Oh my God, I feel
I
so bad
saw,
for that guy.
I also feel bad for some of the lesser known guys like Brian Keith, the bounty hunter. He's had a handful of matches on TV. He's really, really good. And you just, I get tired of seeing the same ones every week.
Can I?
Speaking of
Can I?
AEW, it looks like the injury story for Chuck Taylor is a cover of a different injury, and that it sounds like he really may be done wrestling for good.
Yeah. Can I go on a rant for a minute?
Go ahead.
So I want to
Go
talk
for
about
a
this
couple of
Serena
minutes.
Deeb.
I don't care.
Can I? Can I talk about this fucking Serena Deeb shit?
Yeah. What about Serena Deeb?
So they're doing Serena Deeb versus Tony Storm at the pay per view, which everybody saw coming from a mile away the second Serena Deeb was coming back.
Sure.
And she comes out and she is cutting the most babyface promo you have ever heard in your
Yeah, I
goddamn
know.
life.
All
And the
about her pain and
crowd
suffering.
and the crowd couldn't care less.
That's
They're
it.
chanting for Tony Storm. They're chanting for Mariah May. They don't care.
And neither does Tony. She doesn't give a single solitary shit
But
about you.
here's the here's the fucking problem, everybody. Serena Deeb is a babyface. Tony Storm, despite what the crowd thinks, is a heel.
Exactly.
Tony
It's
Storm does heelish things and
Exactly.
gets cheered.
He gets
Serena
cheered for it.
Deeb pours her heart out on a microphone and gets booed and
Right.
heckled. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. Well, it's I enjoyed hearing what she had to say because I know that she was in WWE, if I remember right, and then she was
Very
gone for
briefly.
quite a while. Now we know that kind of what was going on. She had health problems to deal with.
And credit to Serena because she cut her promo and she got through it. But why is Tony Storm a heel?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I get it. Okay, listen. Brian Alvarez said it on Observer Live this week, and I've heard the same thing. The plan, and it doesn't seem like they're going to change this, is for at some point, Tony Storm is going to turn on Mariah May, thus turning Mariah May babyface.
Right.
And the plan appears to be at Wembley Stadium, Mariah May versus Tony Storm,
Hey, that could
with
be a really
Mariah
good
May
match.
presumably going over.
That would be a good match.
But here's the other problem. Jamie Hayter is going to be back in the next like month or two.
Yeah. And she's
And
going
the
to have
second
something to say about that too, I think.
Jamie Hayter comes back, this crowd is going to turn on them. Tony Storm, Mariah May, whoever isn't Jamie Hayter, the crowd is going to turn on them.
She was over like gangbusters. Yeah.
And guess what? She will be again.
Yeah.
Because this AEW crowd is a lot of things, but they are not forgetful. They do
Yep.
not forget who they like.
That's obvious. Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know if
that
you
go
remember
ahead.
this, but when Anna Jay was super over and then she got hurt and she came back, she got a massive pop. And Jamie Hayter was more over than that.
That's
So
right.
what is going to happen when in England of all the goddamn places,
Oh yeah. Right there in her home country.
you try to do Mariah May versus Tony Storm for the title?
Yes.
When Jamie Hayter is sitting in the back not wrestling on the show, what the hell is going to happen on that show? The crowd is going to hijack it,
Yeah.
is what is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Mariah May, who will be the babyface, is going to get booed out of the building. Tony Storm, who will be the heel, will probably get cheered just because she's Tony Storm. But when Mariah May wins, there's going to be a fucking riot.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because she's not supposed to be the babyface.
That's right.
Tony. And does and the crowd loves Mariah. Mariah May is very over by association almost entirely, granted. Though I said the same thing about Jamie Hayter when she was with Britt Baker, that Jamie Hayter was over because of Britt Baker. No, Jamie Hayter was over because Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
Um,
Britt Baker, we haven't seen
who
in
has disappeared entirely from
uh,
television.
been over a year at least.
Britt Baker, much like a ghost, has disappeared. And that's a whole separate conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, as Serena Deeb cuts this promo, Tony Storm comes out, and as Russ said, Russ, will you please do your Tony Storm impression again?
I don't give one single solitary shit about
So,
you and your problems.
so yeah, Tony Storm said that, and the crowd cheered,
Crowd cheers her. Yeah.
which made no fucking sense at
Hey,
all.
it's a heelish crowd, I guess.
Dude, I get that they were in Canada and it's Weirdoville up there, and it's always been fucking Weirdoville, and it will always be fucking Weirdoville. But god damn it, this was stupid. Why is Serena not the heel?
Right.
They had the same problem in the Deanna Parazzo program. They're doing it again.
I think you're exactly right there. Serena Deeb, Deanna Pratzo, both examples of the same thing. Both two really, really good wrestlers. who are not being booked right.
Do I have a
Imagine that.
problem with Serena Deeb wrestling for the title? No, I do
Oh
not.
no, not at all.
I have no issue with Serena Deeb getting a title shot. Do I have a problem with Tony Storm having the women's title? I think we've already established. No, I do not.
No.
Do I have a problem with how they're trying to portray these characters at the moment? Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah. It's
It
just
doesn't make any fucking sense.
right. We
And
are in agreement on that.
the only thing AEW has gotten right, it seems, in the last few months is Swerve Strickland because they finally turned him babyface.
Yes. Yeah, and my oh my, what happened to him the other night? Everybody's turning on him.
Everybody and their mother is turning on him.
All the moguls moguled up on him.
Indeed. Anyway,
But I don't think Prince Nana was around.
no, he was not.
Okay, so hopefully he's still with Swerve.
Uh, Prince Nana is fantastic.
Yeah.
If they started paying Prince Nana $1 million a year, I think you might say, you know what? I think I get it.
Hmm.
I think I get it. Pay Swerve like 1.5, pay Prince Nana like one.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm sure he wouldn't mind that one at all.
but like if it got leaked that Prince Nana was making $1 million a year, I think you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Well,
sense.
not really,
Actually,
but I would because I like him.
you'd be like, you know what? It's a little silly, but
Exactly
so is
right.
this whole show.
Oh, but another thing, can I say something else
Oh, we're not done with AEW. I'm not done with
about
this shit.
Dynamite?
I'm not done. Keep going.
Yeah, okay. My one of my things I hated about Dynamite was Orange Cassidy is being portrayed as if he is physically indestructible. He takes a pile driver on steel, and then he takes the bottom girder of the ring frame to the neck, and within 15 fucking seconds, he's up on his feet in a position to defend himself. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is so stupid.
And you know what's funny? Everybody goes after the wrestlers for stuff like this. And it's
Well,
like, dude, you think they don't know this is stupid? You think Orange Cassidy in the back of his mind isn't saying, oh, this is kind of fucking ridiculous?
it's got to be.
You think
Yeah,
he's
I
not
don't,
thinking that?
yeah. It just makes him look ridiculous.
Because for as much as I don't like Orange's gimmick, I don't know if you've ever heard him talk like out of gimmick or whatever. Orange Cassidy is a very smart guy.
Yeah, he
He
is.
he is not a stupid person.
Not at all.
He is incredibly intelligent. He understands how wrestling works. He understands psychology. Do you not think there's part of his brain that goes, "Well, this is a little fucking stupid."
Yeah, I think there would have to be.
Speaking
But he
of
probably
fucking
isn't going to
stupid,
say too much. He's, because he wants to get paid.
speaking of fucking stupid, Chris Jericho, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man. See, everything, every new type gimmick, the learning tree. That's his new gimmick now. He probably took out a copyright on it before he debuted it, because that's what he has a tendency to do.
So
I
Chris Jericho,
and he's working with Big Bill now.
who's about 17 fucking years past his prime, um, has this tag match with Big Bill. And holy shit, it was terrible.
Hmm.
Oh my God, it was awful. I poked fun at the police
I can't even
retired shit.
remember who they wrestled now. Do you?
jobbers. Uh, I wrote their names down, but who gives a shit? Uh,
Well, their
I made
mamas
fun of
do.
I made fun of the please retire chants at Dynasty,
Right.
but I'm now going to echo them. Chris
Right.
Jericho, retire. You
Yeah.
don't have it anymore.
I don't know. It's just he's one of the greatest in his prime, but he hasn't done anything for the last couple of years that got me excited at all. Nothing. It's kind of sad.
What did get me excited was Adam Copeland versus Brody King, and this was the main event for the TNT title.
Yes, it was. Adam
This was a
Copeland,
great.
most of his matches are good.
I watched Adam Copeland's interview with Chris Van Vliet this week. Did you know he's already wrestled almost, if not just as many matches in AEW as he did his entire run in WWE the second time?
This last run.
This last run.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah. I'd always wrestled a lot more frequently. But they had him doing all kinds of other stuff back then. They had him founded the Judgment Day and all that.
Yeah. But I want to point something out.
Yeah.
Is it me or is Adam Copeland the one having the most amount of fun on these shows?
He seems to be enjoying himself a lot. And I really think it seemed like he did also in his last run here in WWE. Seemed like he
No,
was having a good time.
and he said this on the interview with Chris Van Vliet. He doesn't need the money.
No. No, if he's smart, he saved his money and didn't spend it all like Ric Flair did.
He made a joke. Oh, we're going to talk about Ric Flair, believe me. He made a joke on the Chris Van Vliet interview. He's like, dude, I don't need the money. I don't give a shit about that. He's like, I'm doing this now because I want to. I don't have to do any of this. I just like doing it.
Yeah.
And to his credit, Adam Copeland comes across when he's doing like a shoot interview or whatever, he comes across as a really honest, genuine guy.
Yeah. Well, he also I forget which one of the guys, one of the acclaimed in the interview said how much they were skeptical when he came in at first because he's a big star from another company, but that they really, really liked him and that Adam Copeland took the time to said, "Hey, I watched your match tonight. I'd like to give you some feedback." And he said he gave him some of the best advice he'd heard in his career. And he said he's really generous with helping the younger guys out.
And here's the thing with Adam Copeland. And Chris asked him about the promo he did a few weeks ago that we both kind of said, well, that was a little hokey.
That we kind of laughed at.
Apparently it was his idea. But his logic behind doing it actually when you hear it makes more sense. If you listen to what he said about why he did that promo, it makes a lot more sense. I like his reasoning behind doing it made a ton of sense. He's like, there's a lot of negativity online.
Oh yeah.
And Chris asked him straight up, were you talking about the CM Punk thing? And he's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. He's like, I saw one clip and it had nothing to do with AEW. I don't know what the hell happened there. So he wasn't even necessarily talking about the Punk stuff. He was like,
The timing of it made it feel like a canned response. That's the way it came across to me. But
he said he'd had that promo. He was going to be doing, he'd thought about doing that promo for a while, like a couple months. And like, he gets asked all the time how he feels about like this culty type stuff, this allegiance to these companies. And he much like most of us, doesn't get it. He's like, just enjoy professional wrestling. Like,
You don't have to pick one or the other. You can enjoy everything.
He's like, I still watch WWE.
Sure.
I watched New Japan. He literally went out and said, he's like, yeah, I still watch the WWE. I still watch New Japan. I watch AEW all the time.
So,
Like, I don't understand this allegiance to letters. It makes no sense. He's like,
right.
I don't get it.
And I not only watch different companies, but there's no one company that I'm going to like praise everything they do or criticize everything they do just based upon other people's perception of it.
No, we criticize WWE all the time. Granted, have we been a lot more positive about them lately? Yes, because lately they've been doing
They've been doing good
everything pretty
shows,
well.
very good shows. Even their weekly shows are much consistently better, let alone their big shows.
And AEW still does their pay-per-views pretty well. I'll give
Yeah,
them that. Their pay-per-views, generally speaking, are still really good. But their weekly television is struggling. And I don't know, dude. And I didn't see a whole lot of SmackDown this week, Russ. I just want kind of your general thoughts on SmackDown as a whole. I saw the
I thought
Logan Paul.
it was the best SmackDown we've had in a while, and the reason why I liked it, it was all first round king and queen of the matches. We had 6 matches in a 2 hour program, which it's been a long time since we had that much wrestling. There was more wrestling in the ring than there was stuff outside the ring, and I loved it. And Nia Jax beat Naomi, and Carmelo Hayes beat Baron Corbin. Jade Cargill beat Piper Niven, although Piper Niven really had a strong match and looked really good. Uh, Jade Cargill's kind of been dominating everybody. Piper Niven gave her a pretty good match. And as predicted, Bianca Belair over Candice LeRae. And Tama Tonga, it was going to be Bobby Lashley, but he could not get medical clearance, so they substituted Montez Ford. And that was a good match, too. But of course, Tama Tonga won. And then in the main event, Randy Orton went over AJ Styles in a very, very good match. When you see them go up against each other, it's amazing the difference in their size. He makes AJ Styles look like a little guy. But it was a good show, good match, good main event, I mean, but good show overall. I liked it. Way, way better than Dynamite. And it was better than Raw this week, too. I thought SmackDown had the best show of the week.
Well,
And I haven't watched TNA yet, but TNA is just here the last couple times I tried to watch it. It was Matt Hartley going around deleting things, and I got no time for that right now.
well, I want to talk a little bit about this Ric Flair thing.
Yeah, give us the details as you understand it.
Well, the video is pretty bad.
I have not seen the video. I heard
I
the
have seen
accusations. I heard that there was accusations made. The statement that Ric Flair made was that one of the employees of this establishment said he did something inappropriate in the bathroom, and that nobody else was there, so Ric Flair couldn't defend himself. And I don't know what to think about that. He didn't elaborate. Well, Ric Flair has had a reputation of exposing himself in public places for years. He's freely admitted to it. So that's about all I know, but you may have a lot more details about what's going on with it.
I have no more details than you, but I will say the video is bad. I couldn't get through it. That's how bad and embarrassing it was to watch.
It seems like any kind of public situation, he so often anymore, he makes a fool out of himself.
It's horrible.
He makes himself look like an idiot. He acts like somebody that's lost his faculties.
He's completely lost his mind.
He seems to really still think that he's on top of the game, that he's still the greatest wrestler of all time, and that he automatically deserves all of this respect, because of all he's done for the wrestling business. And unfortunately, I think most of what he's done in public in the last couple of years, he's buried himself and he's tarnished his legacy. And
Completely.
he's making it so that people aren't going to remember all those great matches, or
Completely tarnished his legacy.
allegedly great matches, maybe I could say. You know,
Well, let's end this show on a
to quote
positive
to
note.
quote to quote Ole Anderson, he says, Ric Flair did the same fucking match for 30 years. You seen one, you seen them all.
Let's end this show on a positive note, Russ.
Let's do. Yes. Hey, you realize 2 weeks from today, we've got the King and the Queen
And Double or
of the
Nothing.
Ring coming up in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So that's going to be another one of these shows that's going to come on at an odd time.
Well, we've got both Double or Nothing and Saudi Arabia that
That
weekend.
same weekend, that's right. Saturday afternoon and Sunday evening. So we'll probably
Well,
do a Sunday night show then,
yep.
unless you
And
want to do two.
we're gonna cover both Double or Nothing and the Saudi show at the same time.
That sounds like a good plan to me.
Folks, thank you so much for watching.
Peace. Looking forward to seeing
Russ,
you again.
Russ, good buddy. Good to be back in the chair with you.
Yes,
And we'll be back next week. Hopefully, we don't have any more issues. We've had a real rough week over here, so
that's right.
hopefully it gets a little better.
Peace.
All right, folks. Damon, play our fucking music. Russ, let's go home.